All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to begin here momentarily. Ask to ensure your cell phones are off or on silent, and council members ensure your microphones are turned on. All right, so today is October 27th, 2025. Today's a regular legislative meeting of Barberton City Council. Before we begin our regular legislative meeting, we do have individual committee meetings this evening, and so we're going to start with City Properties, Park and Recreation with Mr. Easterling.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's October 27, 2025, 6 p.m. here in council chambers. All members of the committee are present, including other council members and guests as noted. Today we have two requests for legislation. One is a letter from Stacy Carr, Planning Director, requesting legislation to request permission to sell city-owned residential buildable lots where the rate is set forth by City Council. Emergency wording and one reading requested. The letter basically just almost verbatim, but it says it's for $1 per square foot, basically. Are there any remarks? Any of you guys have read the letter? Any questions from the body? Any questions from the gallery? Hearing none, can I get a motion? Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. The second one is a letter from Stacy Carr, Planning Director. This is for non-buildable lots, and the rate of that is 15 cents a square foot. Are there any remarks on this legislation from the committee? Body. Any gallery? Hearing none, can I get a motion for this? Thank you. How about a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Mr. Dreer, is that an aye?
Yeah.
Ayes have it. We have some pending legislation. It's ordinance number 155-2025. It's donation of partial ID 0114009. It's an ordinance allowing the city of Barberton to donate partial 0114009 to Summit County for the assessed amount value of $700 and declaring an emergency. This is for the bridge expansion. And still, just I'll make note, Mr. Shreve, we don't have Exhibit A. I know that with that email, I've seen it on his laptop, but no one in the committee has Exhibit A. And then we have ordinance number 156-2025. It's an appropriation for the Parks Department. It's an ordinance appropriating $9,927.87 from the unappropriated line item of the general fund revolving fund to the Parks Administrative Capital Budget, the general fund declaring an emergency. This was turned over to finance, and it's for the pickleball and the dugout repair down at the fields. And with that, do I have any miscellaneous discussion from the committee? I do have a few things real quick. Mr. Mayor, when we drove around 781 East Page, that was that TNR response that I put on your question and answer.
What was that?
That was, it's up there behind the church. And I believe that house is slated for demo. Actually, I think I seen a Cardinal dumpster there
The
today.
house?
Yes. That's where there's that large colony of cats that I put on that. 781 East Page. And then real quick too, Mayor, this one's for you as well. So I had a lady call me today. She got ticketed for her trash cans, but she's medically ill. She's on oxygen, her husband's disabled, and her kids typically come and get the trash and bring it in. But my question is, can you just give everyone, so we all know, what she needs, who she contacts, all that to get that medical. Can you just stand up and briefly go through that so we all know?
Yeah, if this resident or any resident gets note from their doctor, email it in, fax it into our office, and we'll get them on the list for medical pickup. We've had some residents who need and deserve medical pickup, but are too proud. But they've come into situations like this where someone else is getting it for them. They don't want to sign up for it. But this is a perfect situation where the program is there, it's offered, it's free, make use of it. So just get that in our hands somehow, and we can get them on the list. And the turnaround time is pretty quick.
Is there anyone specific that you
Send it to
should-
my office.
And would that medical note get her out of that $50 fine?
You know, at this point.
Sounds like she can't even get out of the house, so I can't, or can she appeal it via mail or fax or email?
So let me talk to the law director and director of public service
Okay.
about that. Typically, the way it works is you have to show up for BZA, but if there's special circumstances, we're talking about. If you can get me the resident, not me now, but the
Right,
resident.
no, I have it, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any miscellaneous from the gallery? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, at 6, is that 06? We adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Easterling. Next up is Public Welfare and Safety with Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to bring the Public Welfare and Safety Committee to order. It's October 27th, 2025, 6:06 p.m. We're in council chambers. All members of my committee are present, including myself as chair, Mr. Easterling, co-chair, Ms. Gerhart, Mr. Greer. All other council members are present, and guests is noted on my sheet. We have no request for legislation. We have no pending legislation. Do I have anything from my committee for miscellaneous?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
My phone's been ringing, great. Van Buren and First Street. Seems to be a racetrack since we're working down there. Everyone's cutting through the neighborhood. I guess it's pretty bad. I know you got a relationship pretty well with the police department.
I can forward an
Can we,
email to.
can we see about getting that trailer maybe taken down there?
Yeah, I'll-
Something along that lines, but I guess it's pretty bad, 60, 65 mile an hour. They're guessing, people coming down that hill,
They coming down First Street?
all kinds. She says they're coming, I think there's a temporary light or something down there, so every now and then it shuts and then people are just, they're dodging it. So she couldn't get out of her driveway the other day because everyone was so backed up trying to cut through the neighborhood.
I do know, because I just emailed Lieutenant White the other day, the trailer is put away for the summer or for the winter, but I'm sure he could get some extra patrols over in that area.
I'll talk to him. I'll send him an email. Anything else from my committee? Other council members?
Got one other thing.
Yes, sir.
Fifth Street, downtown, that we just paved where we stopped. I saw the sidewalk was stopped before the railroad tracks, but there's nothing to stop you to walk onto the railroad tracks. Just, I didn't know if they were gonna continue that sidewalk through, cause I've seen where they put sidewalks through railroad tracks, but are they gonna finish that sidewalk?
Mr. Street?
So anything done inside the right of way of the railroad is done by the railroad. I can contact the railroad and see if they will put sidewalks in there. But, I mean, that's inside their influence zone, so, I mean, we can't, I can't even repair the asphalt on the railroad bed, so.
I didn't know if
can
that was,
contact them and.
I didn't know if that was part of the program, if they were going to, because right now it's sidewalk and it just stops. I mean,
Yeah, I believe that they redid that railroad bed though 2 years ago. I wanna say it was new. But I can definitely reach out to AT&T and see if
Yeah,
that's-
just see if there's any plans to
Or
continue
they're-
that sidewalk.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have anything else for miscellaneous from the gallery? With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
We're adjourned at 6:09 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Next up is Rules Marketing Development. Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time I'd like to bring the Rules Marketing and Development Committee to order. my committee are present, including myself as chair, Mrs. Beck as co-chair, Councilman Heidick and President Greer, all their members and guests as noted on my sheet. Our first request for legislation is a letter from Ward 6 Councilman Monty Harris requesting legislation to amend BCO 1060.99B to add, any appeal shall be at no cost to the appellant. Emergency wording and one reading is requested. So there was a discovery last week that if you get one of those trash can violations like Mr. Easterling was just describing, if you go to appeal it, you have to pay $25 to go before the BZA board to appeal your $50 ticket. So we'd like to get that fee taken off of there for our residents if they get a trash violation, so they can go fight it. Is there any questions about that or thoughts?
Seems like I'm full of it. I don't want a hypocritical person who constantly is getting these to just go down and waste the court's time. I mean, if you win, then maybe you don't pay, but just to knock the fee off for, you know what I mean? It's just, if you're guilty, it's one, right? But if you're just down there just to, cause there's, you know, it would happen. That's all, I'm just saying.
So you would like keep getting the violation and then
Yes, if you're a
keep going
habitual
to fight
offender,
it
so
for
to
free.
speak, in that, or you've been warned several times or whatever, I don't think that person deserves the same as somebody who's just following the rules and maybe something happens.
Sure.
That's just my thought.
I feel like Mr. Shreve has a thought. He's joined us up front this
Well,
evening.
so I actually kind of want to almost echo what Mr. Easterling has said. I would recommend, only because, so I chair that committee. Last month we had, I want to say it was 13 hearings. Just the other day we had 7. If you start giving free trash can violation appeals, I mean, I know my guys are busy in the building department ticketing these cans because we want them out of the right of way. Now, if you allow them to come, you know, say, well, you know, I was out of town, or I asked my neighbor to do it, or this or that, like, where does it stop? And if they're free, it's gonna inundate the board, like Mr. Easterling said, with appeals. So I would suggest, you know, the ability to, if the appeal is granted, maybe waive the fee, but not allow them to apply for free.
I like that. Maybe refund the cost.
So yeah, essentially, if you win the appeal, you could, but I don't know, that's a Jeremy question probably too, because if the fee's already collected, I don't know what that adds to, you know, his process, or if there's if that would muddle things up.
We would just need to issue a refund. At that point, we would just need to get a memo from the department head, which probably would be in your
Okay.
case, saying that the appeal was won, you collected the $25, please pay it out to so-and-so and so-and-so address.
Because I think that keeps your people honest, you know, if they feel like they have an appeal that can win, they're going to fly, they're gonna win, they're gonna get everything, you know, given back to them. If it's because they slept for a day and a half because they just didn't wanna get up and move the trash can, then, I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily worth the appeal at that point.
Yeah.
So.
I agree. I like that. Yeah. Mr. Harris, I know you put this forward. What are your thoughts with what Mr. Shreve and Mr. Easterling just talked about?
I agree and I disagree.
We would expect nothing less.
Right. I guess is, you know, if you end up waiving the appeal fee, is that gonna cause you more work?
I mean, I also feel though that it's a slap in my guy's face. If they're going out and they're issuing these tickets for 50 to appeal them, again, it becomes a board decision, but now we've got inspectors that are being paid to go issue $50 tickets to now waive the fee, allow people to appeal them for free, and then I've got a board that are unpaid, it's an unpaid, whether or not that ticket was warranted. I mean, the building department's following the rules and ticketing the cans because they meet a certain stipulation. I know that we've had the 24-hour talk. The guys, they give them 48 hours. They don't do 24 hours because they can't tell you whether or not the trash is picked up at 6 in the, well, it can't be picked up at 6 in the morning, 8 in the morning, or, 7 o'clock in the evening. So they give them 48 hours because at 7 o'clock in the evening, if they ticket it at noon the next day, they'll say, well, you didn't give me a full 24 hours. So we wait 48 hours before we even ticket. So it's not like we're even really right on top of the 24-hour period. And so I just, having had the discussion, with my building department, they just feel like if the appeals are going to be free, why am I putting a ticket on there in the first place? And again, I know we're doing it because we want the cans off the right of way.
Right.
So that I would think that if the appeal is granted, that's the better route to go, because then the guys feel like their work is warranted.
Okay. I understand that. And typically, I mean, it's just the habitual offenders that think that, hey, I'll just leave my trash can sit at the street all week long. And, some people say, oh, well, it doesn't make a difference. It does. It makes our city look like crap.
And you're gonna have some of those outliers, like the
Right.
lady that's, got the medical condition, that is gonna get caught up in that. But that, I feel fairly confident in my board that if that appeal was brought in front of them, that, they would waive it. Now, if it's every other month she's coming, that's why we have the medical pickup in place too, is so that she doesn't have to worry about that.
I will say this, Mr. Shreve, she spoke with the maintenance guys, and they didn't even mention to her that was even available. So maybe
Okay.
we should also be trying to spread the word when they're, cause she told them the same story she told me about the action
Okay.
and all that, so maybe we need to, also say, well, hey, did you know about this program?
Okay.
Just,
Yeah.
cause
Um,
she didn't know about it, and, like you said,
and our
there's also
trash-
people who are just proud,
Yeah.
and, so, yeah, that was it.
Our trash contract does expire too at the end of this year, well, that's March, something like that. So we will be going out to bid for that, and medical pickup's definitely one thing that we wanna keep in it for our constituents too.
Mrs. Beck.
Is there a way that we can put this in with the water bill? Exactly how to do the medical pickup and things like that?
So we were going to put a reminder in about the trash can ordinance. I'm sure that we could add, we could do homestead exemption, because that's something that's good for our constituents too, if they're not already, at the reduced rate, but we could also add something about the medical pickup.
Most people who are going to take advantage of that are probably appreciative of getting a paper bill. Putting it online is not probably going to do really very much
Yeah.
to get that word out. Maybe a sibling or a daughter or son or daughter of that person that needs it, but putting it in black and white in their
Okay.
paper bill might be the best way to go.
Nope, I like it.
Any other questions for Mr. Shreve? So, Mr. Harris, we want to hold on to this and rework it?
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you. The next thing we have, I know we talked about council rules a few weeks ago. I have those all now typed up in a list. And then I know there were a couple follow-up questions and discussions that we were gonna have, just taking a mere few minutes.
What are you looking at me for?
I was just feeling this burning gaze coming from the end.
Don't worry, we'll have the development code before the rules are done.
My goal is to still beat her, but let's talk. Mrs. Beck,
There was one that I had a suggestion about, or after reading it again, kind of like, I don't know about that. Rule 404, motions put, and voted. So we wanna add, in such case that neither, I'm sorry, I should read the whole thing. At regular meetings, all motions shall be made by the chair of the committee and seconded by the member of that committee. However, if the legislation is a referral from another committee, the chair of the referring committee shall second the motion. And this is what we wanna add, this part here. In such case that neither are present or one or both dissent, any member may make either motion. I think we're forgetting about a whole third person on a committee that is able to make that motion, rather than opening it up to literally anyone already there. But also, if that many people dissent, then why are we putting it through legislation in the first, because it probably would have, I don't think we need this because it probably would have failed in committee anyhow. Am I understanding that the right way?
Let's say the two members are absent.
Yeah.
Who's making the motion, who's seconding?
So we have a third member on a committee, two-third members on the committee.
What if the first two?
Then do we
are
have
absent?
quorum on that?
Yes, we still have 6 people.
Okay.
So the third person makes the motion and there's no second, so it dies.
There's a third person on both committees though.
I'm talking about if it's out of one committee.
Because this also goes, okay, this isn't just talking about if it's a referral then.
No, it's blanket statement.
Overall.
Yeah.
Third person. But I think maybe we should do the second as anyone rather than the motion, yeah?
Again, you could have 5 people and it's a quorum, so what if the 3 people in the committee are absent, so nothing gets done?
I don't know. What if I wear blue shoes that day? I mean, I feel like we're just kind of making if-thens.
Well, we can make a rule against blue shoes then.
You know, like, just kind of feel like there's
If
so
you're
many
not- if
ifs,
you don't
ifs,
wanna-
ifs.
if you
How many
don't
times
wanna
has that
protect them,
happened?
A rule for that, did we?
I just feel like we're forgetting a whole third person here on a committee. And opening it up to any member to second that would probably be the better way to go.
I mean, there's only 8 of us on the council. It's not like we're Congress and there's 435.
Right.
And we gotta worry about all that.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's, all I was doing is trying to clarify that to keep things moving, that make motions.
Right. I don't know, I don't know if it makes a whole bunch of hill of beans either way, but it just kind of feels a little bit, why have committees in the first place if?
And we're just talking about making the motions and moving forward.
Mhm.
Once it leaves committee, it's on the floor anyway, so
Right,
why
right,
not?
that's on the floor. I don't know, what do you think?
I don't have any strong opinion on that.
All right, I mean, I guess I really don't either, it just kind of felt weird after rereading it, like, oh, yeah, we're forgetting about a person. So, okay. That was it.
So we had that one. President Greer, with your permission, I know directors and people are allowed to sit on this side. Should we invite anybody to come up so it allows the public to sit down?
If they want, they're more than welcome.
Resident?
I'm fine.
It was the only way I could think to, since our directors and mayor can come sit on this side.
I'm fine standing. Like I'm the only one standing up right now, I feel like we can single out. We're pointing our fingers at you.
Just trying to be accommodating, I
He's been
feel
sitting
bad.
all day, Blue.
Quorum in the council, Easterling. Okay, so some other things we have with these rules, we're gonna take out, any updates for the council attire. Some of these adjustments were being made to the 2021 version, and we had a 23 version that had been updated and kind of already covered attire. Councilman Heidick and Mrs. Beck, what were your thoughts with our sunshine law training? just as new council members have to do it, do we need any time frame, like before you're sworn in or within a reasonable amount of time? Pretty broad in the rules. President Greer?
The rules state that a council member must take it, which means that it should be done before they're in office, before they're sworn in. Now, it's up to council to enforce that. But it's not big, it's black and white.
Yeah.
In order to be, a rule state, can't tell somebody that they're elected to be on here, but the rules state that council members must have it.
Yeah, because I thought about, like, when we were elected, we had almost 2 months to get that done. Whereas somebody like Mr. Easterling had like 20 minutes, so it would have just made it harder for
And,
them to
yeah,
do it.
correct. And certain circumstances, but on the onboarding process of any new elected official that comes into the city council, I would encourage council, and I think we already have it in, we do ever since I've been here for 6 years. Each packet contains that in there with the rules and everything too as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more to go over this evening with it. Is there any miscellaneous talk behind committee? Or from the rest of council? In the gallery? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. In a second?
Second?
Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:26 PM.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. All right, next up is city utilities, Mr. Griffin.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to call this meeting to order today. October 27th, we are in council chambers. All members of my committee are present. Jennifer Hager, myself as chair, Emily Beck, and Justin Greer. We have no new legislation to call for tonight, and we have no pending legislation. Do we have any miscellaneous discussion for city utilities?
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Shreve, East Ford Avenue fire hydrant, it's still not on the list.
Okay.
It's the road cutout.
Okay.
It's the one that was in yellow.
Okay.
It's still not on the.
I'll forward it again and make sure.
Right, I seen you sent us a cutout sheet today, it still's not on there. Street cutout on Ford Avenue. At the fire hydrant, corner of 4th and Ford. That's all I had, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Eastling. Do we have any miscellaneous in the gallery? Anything for utilities? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Hager. Second?
I will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. We are adjourned at 6:28. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Next up is finance and personnel with Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to bring the Finance and Personnel Committee to order. It is Monday, October 27, 2025, 6:29 PM here in council chambers. All members of my committee are present, which includes myself as chair, Mr. Heidick, Mr. Griffin, and Mr. Greer, as well as all other council members and guests as noted on my sheet. Tonight, we just have pending legislation to talk about. We've got ordinance number 156-2025, title Appropriation Parks Department. This would appropriate $9,927.87 from the unappropriated line item of the general fund to the Parks Administrative Capital Budget of the general fund and declaring an emergency. That was for storm damage. Are there any remarks? Open this up for miscellaneous for finance and personnel. Anything from the body? The gallery, Mrs. Blakey? I kinda like you sitting back here, to be honest with you. It's a lot easier. All right, well, hearing none, do I have a motion to, Ms.
Yep.
Park, yes?
Yes, thank you. So, you guys will have legislation in front of you concerning a CRA at 527 West Lake. And so tonight, Jason Dodson and the property owner, Denny Little, is here to speak to you all and just ask some questions, so if you don't mind.
You did tell me.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. If you guys wanna go ahead and step up to the microphone.
I'm just here to answer questions.
All right, Jason Dodson with Drexel and Andrus. And I have a document circulating, it's a one-pager, should be enough for the clerk as well as all of the council members. Councilman Harris was holding him on that side.
It's been a while since he's been in school.
All right, so what you have in front of you is, this is a little bit of an analysis. I know there were some emails that were going back and forth, and Director Carr had sent one of those emails over and said, hey, can you kind of take a look at this and give us some analysis on essentially what the cost would be, or the kind of the way the CRA works versus the TIF that's there. So just to go back a little bit in time, a little bit of history, in 2019, and the reason I want to kind of go into the history is I think over the next few years you'll probably see this more and more often. But going back to 2019, there was a piece of legislation adopted by this council that put about 600, I think is the number, parcels in downtown into a TIF district. And basically said that anytime there's improvements made to those properties over the course of 30 years, the tax on the increase in value with those properties is going to be captured through a TIF, which basically means that tax on the increased value, instead of going to all the taxing agencies, will instead flow back to the city. City has to peel off the part that would otherwise go to the school, and then the city then has a bucket of money that it can use for infrastructure-related purposes that benefit those properties downtown. Now, what I will tell you is that was implemented in 2019. Not until about 5 months or so ago, when we called the county and said, hey, none of the properties in downtown are actually showing that they're in a TIF, because there's a way they code them and all of that. What's going on? The county had never put any of the properties into the TIF, so none of the properties were generating that revenue that would have been flowing into that infrastructure fund. If you go on now and start clicking around on properties in that district, you'll see that they have started creating those TIFs. I just asked for an update on Friday. They're creating them. They have most of them created. They're going to apply them here for the upcoming tax year. And then there's a little bit of an issue of the reconciliation they have to do going all the way back to when the TIF was adopted. So at some point there'll be some, I'll call it a chunk of money that's going to come into the city from that TIF district that is going to be able to be utilized for those infrastructure improvements. I can't tell you how much that money is now. I will tell you, given the increase in value that happened a few years ago, it's going to be a little bit more than what we would have expected, because it not only picks up like actual brick and mortar improvements, but when the property value goes up, it captures that as well and puts it in the TIF. The reason I'm telling you all of that to start this story is that as we, as a community, collectively do more in our downtown district, whether it's this project, whether it's a project downtown, we're going to have more legislation like this, where we may have to pull a piece of property out of that district and propose one of two things. One being a CRA on the property, which is an actual property tax abatement. The other one is where you pull it out of that TIF district and put a different type of TIF on, which is a 41 TIF. It's a section 570941 of the revised code. And the reason you put that TIF on the property is it then allows those funds to be used for things other than infrastructure. So you can actually put it in the building itself.
And I will tell you, and the mayor and I have talked about this at length, you know, there's pluses about that TIF district in that you're gonna capture that passive revenue and be able to use it for infrastructure. But when you do have projects, it is going to make it more difficult because you are going to have these steps of pulling the properties out in order to be able to actually benefit that particular property, incentivize development on that property, instead of capturing the money for the whole of downtown. And this is, you know, we've done it when we did the original deal with Powell and Harold, we took that piece of property out. This would be the second one that I would tell you if you've seen it. But I think we all know there's multiple properties downtown that need investment. We've talked with the foundation, the BWXT project over on 2nd Street. If that materializes, we're gonna have to pull that one out and do the same thing there. So it's just kind of part of the process that we have. It also changes, going back to that email about this project, it also changes kind of some of the math that we look at in terms of, well, what is the benefit to the property owner and what is the cost to the city by doing a particular type of incentive for a project. And what we're trying to do here with the sheet in front of you is capture exactly that analysis. And so what we put in front of this, in this sheet, if you look at the first box, that basically said, let's assume there's a $500,000 investment in the property owner's property here. And it breaks down, you see there from an annual basis, how much that $500,000 would generate in taxes, what portion of that goes to the city, what portion of that goes to the school district, and then what portion of that goes to everybody else that's a taxing subdivision. And kind of the very easy way to think of this, and we break this down in the next few boxes, is if you're staying in that top box, you see the $638 for the city, and then you see the $2372 for the other subdivisions. When we have a property where you have a 30-year 100% TIF like we do now, instead of the city just getting the $638, it gets the $638 plus the $2372. The school money still goes to the school, but essentially with that TIF, what you're doing is you're taking the money that all of the other taxing subdivisions would otherwise get, and you're saying, hey, you're not losing anything because you're still getting what you already have, but we are making a determination, as the revised code lets us, that that money's better spent on the infrastructure needs downtown than it is on, you know, whether it's the Developmental Disabilities Board, library, parks, whatever it may be. And that was the decision, again, the council made back in 2019 for those 600 parcels in downtown. So if you go down to the next box, that is typically the analysis we would do on a piece of property when we say, we have a piece of property, how much tax money would it generate versus what if we did a CRA? And what would we be quote unquote losing if we were doing a CRA on that property? And so if you look at the yellow line there, and just for the sake of ease, we assume a 15-year 100% CRA, and then we net present value that number down. So in other words, if you look at that 8,064, that is taking the $638 that the city would normally get over 15 years and saying if we assume an interest rate of just 4%, I'd have $8,064 right now. That's kind of the exercise we're doing. If you look then with the income tax number, you see the income tax, and this is really the first time on this sheet we show it, you see $9,000 a year in new income tax to the county. I explained that in the email in terms of kind of how we came up with that with the new jobs that are there, times the payroll, times the city's tax rate, and that 9,000 stays consistent all the way through. And so even if it's 8,500 or 10,000, all these models assume the same amount of income tax. If you go then to the next box, what would be the third box down the page where it says current TIF on property, this is where it changes when we're doing this type of an analysis for a piece of property that's not in that downtown TIF, which I can sit here and tell you it costs you $8,000 to do this incentive that's being proposed. And instead of it being $38,000 or $8,000 for this property, because it's in the TIF district, the what it costs the city, quote unquote, is that $38,035. Now, one thing that I will note is, as you're following along, the reality is that while it costs the city that $38,035, the majority of that money, almost 30,000 of that, is money that's only going to the city because we're taking it from another taxing subdivision first. But if somebody asks the question, what is the city contributing, or what is the cost of the city if we take the property as it currently is situated in that taxing district, or in the TIF district, and we instead pull it out and do the CRA, what's our financial hit to the city, or what's it cost us, the net present value of that 15 years of revenue is that $38,000 number. Now, as you see there in the bottom bucket, that's essentially what happens revenue-wise if we pull out and do exactly what we're proposing. Pull it out of the TIF, do the CRA, you eliminate any sort of property tax there, and instead of getting, the $151,000 that you see in that box above it, which is your property tax plus your income tax, instead you only get your income tax component, which is the $113,000, or again, the $38,000 that we just talked about. And so, I know there were kind of some follow-up questions to that email, and as I kind of worked through the easiest way to be able to demonstrate, what is the cost to the city if we do this? I think this shows that ordinarily that cost would be $8,000. For a property like this, it's in the district, that cost is $38,000. Now, what I will tell you in terms of my experience, in terms of projects like this, when you get to the question of, does this make sense to do this or not? Like, why would we do this? What's the benefit to the city? Certainly I'll let the property owner talk a little bit about some of the things he's been involved in and his company's been involved in the city. But as we look at some of the interventions the city has taken already in terms of improving downtown, some of the interventions that in order to get downtown to the place where everybody wants it to be, I don't think that to say, hey, we're gonna invest $38,000 to assist a local property owner grow their business, hire more people that are all gonna work downtown, that are gonna support our downtown businesses. I don't personally think that that's much of a stretch. And I don't think that that's a stretch that is distinct from what I would see in other communities, or I think, quite frankly, where the city's investing its money now. In particular, when you have a business owner, and again, I'll let him talk about it further, who has a pretty good track record of investing in those same type of downtown initiatives that the city's already investing in. So that's the analysis. Those are kind of the thoughts in terms of why the administration felt that this was a warranted approach and a request to council. And Mr. Whittle, turn it over to you.
Thank you. So I don't have I was here to answer any questions, but I will say probably the biggest reason I wanted to be here is because this isn't financially about, this savings, and I explained to them, I donate more than that every year to the local nonprofits. So it's not that, but I bought that house in a sheriff's sale 15, 16 years ago for $60,000. We put $360,000 in it. And I kept telling people all the time, you've got to figure out ways to attract people to spend money downtown. And whether this council votes for me, I think it's the bigger pictures. These are the kind of things that we need to attract other people to spend money to revitalize downtown. So, I'm here to answer any questions, but again, I think this is a good first step, and I think it needs to be expanded upon, and I think we need to market it. I was amazed that the administration came to me, because I didn't ask for this, and said, hey, I think, because I just went to them to ask what I needed to do this type of project, because we're anticipating the project's going to cost another $300,000 to $400,000. And that's when they said, well, I think we could do something to help you out with it. I thought that's what we should be doing for all small businesses and all businesses in Barberton. So that's all I have to say. Any questions for me? And I know there were questions about the rental registration thing, and if you know me, I wasn't trying to save $200 a year. I don't collect rent from her. I let her live there. She pays for her maintenance, and that's, I figured I wasn't collecting rent. It wasn't a rental. So that's the only reason I never registered it. So when I heard I did, because it's not owner occupied, we did get our registration last week, so in case there's any questions on that.
Well, thank you, and thanks for being here. Are there any questions for either Mr. Dodson or Mr. Little?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a minute from a law enforcement standpoint about the house that used to be there that Denny purchased. It was, and Monty could probably speak to it a little bit, maybe I think I dealt with the house, maybe he can speak to it. We're very grateful from a law enforcement standpoint that Mr. Little purchased that house and it's no longer there.
Seeing nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
And a second? Alright, thank you, we are adjourned at 6:46.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That concludes our individual committee reports. I'm going to take 5 minutes, and we'll come back and begin our regular legislative meeting. Before we do go on break, though, real fast, I did make a little change to the agenda. Are we good, Mr. Mayor, for that? Kuhn? To move it up?
It's at 7:10, so I'm not.
We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Yep. I did make a schedule change to push the executive session with the lawyer and Kuhn Construction to before the work session and miscellaneous. So, all right, we're good to go. We'll take 5 minutes. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I think. Just a reminder, ensure your cell phones are off or on silent, and council members, ensure your microphones are turned on. Here. Good. All right, so today is Monday, October 27, 2025. This is a regular legislative meeting of Barberton City Council. I call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation by Ms. Gearhart. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Micah 6:8. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you with thankful hearts for those who serve and lead our community. We ask that you guide our every decision with your wisdom and grace. Help our leaders to act justly, to be fair and discerning, seeking truth and righteousness in all they do. Teach us all to love mercy, to lead with compassion, patience, and understanding, remembering that every person we serve is your creation. Grant us humility that we might walk closely with you, not seeking recognition, but seeking what is right and good for those we serve. Lord, above all, remind us that the greatest commandment, to love you with all our heart, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. Let this love be the foundation of every word spoken, every plan made, and every action taken. May our city and community be a reflection of your justice, mercy, humility, and love. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Clerk, please call the roll.
President Greer.
Present.
Mr. Heidick.
Here.
Mrs. Thompson.
Here.
Mrs. Hager.
Here.
Mr. Easterling.
Here.
Mr. Griffin.
Here.
Mrs. Beck.
Here.
Ms. Gerhart.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
All right. Approval of the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, October 13th, 2025, as presented. Mrs. Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, October 13th, 2025, as presented, be approved.
Thank you. And Mr. Griffin?
I'd like to second the motion on approval of the minutes of the regular legislation meeting held on Monday, October 13th, as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. A motion was made by Mrs. Thompson and seconded by Mr. Griffin to approve the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on October 13th, 2025, as presented. Are there any remarks? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The minutes are adopted. For the finance report, acceptance of the finance department report for the month of September 2025 as presented. Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the acceptance of the finance report for the month of September 2025 as presented.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin?
I second the motion on approval.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mrs. Thompson and seconded by Mr. Griffin to accept the finance department report for the month of September 2025 as presented. Are there any remarks? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the finance report is accepted. Petitions and claims?
We have none.
Matters requested?
They have all been dispersed.
All right, citizens addressing council. I do have 4. Now, I do want to remind everybody that we do have a work session later where you're able to speak freely too as well during a part of that session. So we'll start, when I call your name, if you just come up to one of the microphones, state your name, address, and reason for speaking. We'll give you 5 minutes to talk, and when you're speaking here, just know that council will not be able to address you back during this portion. So we'll start with Mary Woodford.
I'm Mary Lou Woodford. I live at 187 16th Street Northwest in Barberton. And I am speaking today to voice my disappointment and those on council who are discussing bringing charges against 4 people who are dedicated to this community. I have read the time log of the chain of events leading up to the publication of the Barberton Parks and Rec in August and September. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for putting that on there. The ad in question was put in the publication and paid for with campaign funds and done very innocently, not knowing that it was against the bylaws or the charter. These 4 people are thinking about the 4 people you are thinking about charging have been long-standing advocates for this city. The actions of the council are very frustrating and disappointing to me. According to the time log, multiple emails went out to council and all those running for office, and no one had the forethought to do the right thing and remind the Parks and Recreation about the candidate ad and not being in the publication as a friendly reminder of what your bylaws and charter say. Shame on you. That's all I can say. To me, that's just terrible. Something that is done once a year sometimes needs reminding of the advertising policies regarding the publication. I thought the responsible thing to have done in this case or any case is when you see something isn't right, to go to that person and let them know. That would have been the right thing to do. I would think that you would want that person coming to you if the role were reversed. By not saying something, you deliberately entrapped those individuals, and that to me is wrong. The 4 individuals are loyal, serving people to our community. They dedicate their time to this community to make it a better place. Their involvement with the community makes it so you want to be a part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have, and I apologize if I mess up the name, Lee. Is it Griglunas?
Thank you, Mr. President and members of council. I am here this evening to take a stand for a man. It is dignified, distinguished, and determined. A man who is a true gentleman in every sense of the word, a true friend and mentor to me. That man is Mr. Shorter Griffin. He loves the city of Barberton, the community, and the people who live here. The man bleeds purple, and it is a true Barbertonian. There was a publication with an ad in it published by the Parks and Recreation for the fall banquet. Each of you, including Mr. Griffin, received an email that had a chance to place an ad in the publication. A certain council member said that they didn't place an ad because they knew better and would never do it. Why wasn't questions asked before the publication went out? Why did we not ask if political ads were allowed? Why wasn't the Parks Board asked and the commission if this was right? Why didn't we go to the law department? I'm just asking these questions. You know, to me, it's like finding fault for something that was an honest mistake. Everybody makes them. I've made them. We've all made mistakes that we're sorry for. And I just think it's appalling that we're taking a man with dignity and pride and ripping him down for something he didn't do intentionally. We put the report on social media and asked that there would be a criminal investigation. Definition of theft in office: youthfully taking public money or property for personal use. Mr. Griffith did not pay for the postage, printing, or distribution of this ad. He only paid for the ad. The council took a good, faithful servant of the city of Barberton and threw him under the bus, and for what? A damn vote. Mr. Griffin, sir, thank you for your service to the country and this city, and may it continue long into the future. I will stand side by side and shoulder to shoulder with you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Michael Lauder.
If you can't run an honest and fair campaign, you don't deserve to be elected to city council. Serving the residents of Barberton should be the primary goal, not about which party is in control and has the most power. Obviously, posting rumors on Facebook is just a scheme to convince residents not to vote for Mr. Griffin.
Mr. Lauder, can you state your address, please?
48 Schwinn Drive.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Portman.
Brian Portman, 48 Schwinn Drive. I want to address council about the allegations of misuse of public funds. The cost of the Park and Recreation Program Guide would be the same cost with or without Shorter's ad. What makes the difference if we have political ads or a business ad? We should be allowing for ads. I mean, within 2 years, there's going to be 4 people running. If we can make money with political ads, why not? Who cares? We allow for political people in the parade. We allow for political organizations at the Mumfest, and we write the check to the Parks and Recreation. So what makes the difference that it's a political ad? We had at least 5 different political organizations at the Mumfest, and no one talked about misuse of public dollars. And my concern was other members knew this was going out, and city council is very quick to criticize when city employees make a mistake. No one said anything until after the ad was placed. I think it's we should change the policy. We should be making money. If we can make some money, he has no access to the city finances. It was his own funds. He paid over $200 for that ad, just like any other business. So why don't we change it and just allow for more ads? If the question is about using public email, well, you do have another council member who is putting their emails on flyers, public flyers, using the city email, which I know he didn't intentionally do it. Chuck Easterling's putting his email address on there, and it was no intent, it was a mistake. And so this is all this is, it's just a mistake. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Portman. I do not have anybody else. However, just a reminder that there'll be time to mention stuff during the work session when we get to that point. All right, so we're going to jump into our first reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Ordinance number 155-2025, presented by Mr. Easterling. Title, Donation of Property, parcel number 01140009. An ordinance allowing the city of Barberton to donate parcel ID number 01140009 to Summit County for the assessed value of $700 and declaring an emergency.
Motion to suspend, Mr. Easterling.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule as of required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Thank you, and Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to second Mr. Easterling's motion on suspension.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mr. Easterling and second by Ms. Gerhart to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Easterling?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Heidick?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Motion for suspension carries. Motion to adopt, Mr. Easterling.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of ordinance 155-2025.
Thank you, and Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to second Mr. Easterling's motion on adoption.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mr. Easterling and second by Ms. Gerhart to adopt ordinance number 155-2025. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Heidick?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Easterling?
Yes.
Motion for adoption carries.
Ordinance number 156-2025, presented by Mr. Easterling and Mrs. Thompson. Title: Appropriation Parks Department. An ordinance appropriating $9,927.87 from the unappropriated line item of the general fund revolving fund to the Parks Administrative Capital Budget of the general fund and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Motion to suspend, Mr. Easterling.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Thank you, and Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second Mr. Easterling's motion on suspension.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mr. Easterling and second by Mrs. Thompson to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Easterling?
Yes.
Mr. Heidick?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Motion for suspension carries. Motion to adopt, Mr. Easterling.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of ordinance number 156-2025.
Thank you, and Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second Mr. Easterling.
Thank you. Motion was made by Mr. Easterling and second by Mrs. Thompson to adopt ordinance number 156-2025. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Heidick?
Yes.
Mr. Easterling?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Motion for adoption carries.
This ended the first reading.
Second reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Ordinance number 153-2025, presented by Mr. Heidick. Title: Raymond James Company CRA abatement. An ordinance approving a 100% 15-year CRA tax abatement for the Raymond James Company and declaring an emergency. This is the second reading. The first reading was on Monday, October 13th, 2025.
Thank you. Motion to suspend, Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second Mr. Heidick's motion on suspension.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mr. Heidick and second by Mrs. Thompson to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Heidick?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Easterling?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Motion for suspension carries. Motion to adopt, Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of ordinance 153-2025.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will second Mr. Heidick's motion on adoption.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mr. Heidick and seconded by Mrs. Thompson to adopt ordinance number 153-2025. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Easterling?
No.
Mrs. Hager?
No.
Mr. Heidick?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
All right. Motion for adoption carries with over 2/3 majority.
Ordinance number 154-2025, presented by Mr. Heidick. Title, amending ordinance number 91, 2019, creation of a tax increment financing district. An ordinance amending ordinance number 91-2019, creation of a tax increment financing district to reflect a change by removing parcels 01.12849 and 01.03928 from the tax increment financing district, TIF, and declaring an emergency. This is the second reading. The first reading was on Monday, October 13th, 2025.
Thank you. Motion to suspend, Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second Mr. Heidick's motion on suspension.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mr. Heidick and second by Mrs. Thompson to suspend the rules required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart.
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Easterling.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Heidick.
Yes.
Mrs. Beck.
Yes.
Motion for suspension carries. Motion to adopt, Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adopt ordinance 154, 2025.
Thank you. And Mrs. Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second Mr. Heidick's motion on adoption.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mr. Heidick and second by Mrs. Thompson to adopt ordinance number 154-2025. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mrs. Beck.
Yes.
Mr. Heidick.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Easterling.
No.
Mrs. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Motion for adoption carries with over 2/3.
This ends the second readings.
Third reading of ordinances and resolutions.
We have none.
Appointments.
We have none.
Miscellaneous and unfinished business, and this is what we are here for today. The reason I had a work session in this style put in miscellaneous is, excuse me, is because the council cannot talk about matters as a group without being in a public setting. So that is why we have a work session. The matters of this work session are discussion regarding the findings of the fact-finding investigation report that was delivered to City Council on the 20th, so last week, Monday, is when we got the findings in the email around 4 o'clock. So this is an open forum, open platform for council members and anybody that's involved in this to make statements, ask questions. I would like for this work session to focus on a couple things. How it happened, and what we can do to ensure that something like this doesn't happen again, and keep that ship moving forward. Having said that, I am going to open it up to anybody that wants to make a statement first. Mr. Heidick?
Thank you, Mr. President. With the fact-finding investigation report, I have to disagree with a lot of it. It's dealing with two issues. You have an issue of the government printing a flyer and sending it out with a political ad, but you also have the issue of time clocks. These are two separate issues that the finding of fact report only addresses half the story on both. I disagree with the finding of fact naming the mayor, the mayor's assistant, and Councilor Griffin as being at fault here. I view it, by reading that report, as a failure on the entire Parks Department and Division. Councilor Griffin was solicited just like all of us to put ads in, and I'll be honest with you, if I was running for re-election this year, I'd put it in too. It is not our job to say what can and can't go in a flyer. That is not our responsibility whatsoever. That said, if a political ad is approved to go in a flyer by a department, then I ask, can the bar and restaurant I run put an ad in there? Can a gentleman's club put an ad in there? Can I put a half-page picture of myself naked on a bearskin rug in there? Those questions are pertinent because if the answer is no, then that means there is a standard and the standard was not applied, which is a failure on the department. If the answer is yes, then buddy, we got a bigger problem than we thought. Counselor Griffin has no right to be at fault in this fact-finding on the flyer issue. I pivot to the mayor. In this report, it says that the Parks Director had a question of whether something like that is allowed in a government publication. The report said, the mayor answered, it has to have, a paid-for-by sign, which, as running elections, he knows has to be on there. Parks Director came to you, Mr. Mayor. By trade, are you a lawyer? By profession, are you the chief executive or are you the legal department? That said, why did our director not go to our legal department? He asked the chief executive, not legal, the chief executive, who, by trade, is not a lawyer, for legal advice. That's a failure on the department, not a failure on the mayor. The mayor gave his answer. What if there was a legal question and the mayor gave the wrong answer? He's not a lawyer, nor is he in the legal department. How is that his fault? The director has a legal question. We have an elected law director. She's sitting in this room. Director Miller, were you consulted?
No.
How is this on the mayor's fault? Disagree with that name being in there. The mayor's assistant is listed in there with different emails and different times. It's reasonable. One of the emails was at 1:18 in the afternoon. She had claimed, that's my personal time, I'm on lunch. Somebody might say, well, that's an awful late lunch. I myself at my business, I don't take my lunch until 2 in the afternoon. Again, now we're looking at clock in and clock out times, which is completely separate from the issue of a flyer. That should be a separate fact-finding thing, not a flyer thing. Again, two things have been mixed into one by the independent investigation, and we only got half the story on both. But once again, I ask, if a department said yes to one ad, do they say yes to all of them? Because if that's the case, those 3 examples I gave, next year, I may save up some hundreds of dollars and put them in myself and just see where the standards lie. Councilor Griffin, mayor, and the mayor's assistant have no business being named as at fault in this. Councilor Griffin also published this for the council here. It shows that the Ohio Revised Code sections prohibit use of public funds to communicate, outside lawyers by the law department acknowledge this. According to this, Mr. Griffin's printout here, and according to the fact finding, one email that he hit reply from his city email threw his name into this entire mess. And I'll tell you this, in 6 years, I've hit reply, and I guarantee you this, I could public record request every single counselor in this room from the day they were sworn in to tonight, and somebody hit reply on their city email when they meant to use their personal one. I've done it. And I can guarantee I'll find it in all of them if I have to. But we aren't going to sit here and judge one just because we got away with using our city email and brushed it under the rug without even thinking about it. But I refuse to sit here in judgment of somebody that made one reply button when it should have been from his personal, when I can tell you for a fact, I've done the same thing over 6 years. I have no business saying anything about that. It is wrong, it doesn't tell the whole story, and I disagree with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heidick. Is there anybody else that would like to make a statement on the council? Mr. Harris?
Quick question. Mr. Heidick, do you have any investigative experience?
I do not.
Okay. I've been through this many, many times. A lot of you know who I am. A lot of you know my background. We have a mayor who's been here in the political office since 04. Mr. Griffin's been here since 2018. I hear a lot of emotions, you know, this and that. And we have to remember that the emotions need to be checked because this is a violation of state law. Okay? It's not for us to be a judge and jury. It's for the court system to say you're guilty or not guilty. Each office holder here, took an oath of office, did we not? Every one of us. Some of us have taken many. Mr. Easterling, you were in the military. You took an oath, did you not? Mr. Griffin, you took an oath, correct? I took several oaths. In that oath, it says swearing to support the United States Constitution, the state constitution, and the charter of the city of Barberton. Me personally, I think the oath was broken. The public trusts us to conduct ourselves properly. I think that was violated. I want to say, does anybody know what vicarious liability is? Anybody? Vicarious liability is, to put it in simplest terms, if I'm your supervisor and you go do something wrong, I can still be held responsible. Meaning, if a city worker does something wrong, the mayor can still be held liable. All of us do an ethics training when we file for candidacy. You know what is right, what is wrong. In this report it says, ignorance is no excuse for the law. And I want to bring something to light also, because some of you seem not to realize that you got the email. I have the email right here. If you want me to read it to you, I will. For time, I won't. But nowhere in that email did it say, put your political ad in here. And it was only sent to council members. Not everybody, as everybody claims, that's not the case. It was only sent to council members. Also, if you did a little investigating, as I have, based on emails, this plan was already in motion prior to July 22nd when we were all sent that email. The plan was already in place. There was already conversation going on about a political ad being put in the program guide. How many actually knew that? None. You have to do your homework. If you don't do your homework, you don't get all the details. Do I agree with everything in this report? No, I don't. I was an investigator for 13 of my 25 years on the police department. Do I agree with everything in there? No. Do I think it could be more in depth? Yes. But I still got to look back at every one of us took an oath of office. You took an oath of office. You did. I did. You did. In my eyes, the public trust is broken because they all look at us to do the right thing. And when we don't, you break that trust with them. I mean, you have somebody that's been in office for 21 years. You have a law director back there. There's no reason why you can't pick up the phone and say, Law Director Miller, this is the situation. I'm sure if she can't answer that, she could find an answer for it. Me personally, I look at this investigation, the state law was broke. Where's the Criminal Investigation Act? Where is the criminal investigation? It's a violation of law. What are we gonna do? Just sweep everything under the rug? I mean, if we did that in the police department when I was there, you would have chaos on the streets. Chaos. Because people would say, oh, they're not gonna charge us, they're not gonna arrest us. What do we do here? Brush even the minor things. I mean, this is listed as a misdemeanor of the first degree, which is your most severe misdemeanor, because then you become, you go into the felony aspect of things. Misdemeanor 1, up to 6 months in jail or $1,000 fine, or in a $1,000 fine. So it's not something that's like a disorderly conduct. State law says it's a misdemeanor 1. So we have I keep hearing, oh, well, it was going to go out anyways, Okay, fine. But who paid for the investigation? Do we know how much the investigation cost yet? Ms. Miller?
Not at this time. There's a second investigation that it will occur later.
So the $15,000 that we appropriated is covering those investigations also?
Correct.
Or that investigation also?
Yes.
Will they do a separate invoice for each investigation?
I imagine they will.
When do you suspect that we'll get that?
I wanted to wrap this first one up first.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I understand what, I heard Mr. Heidick talk down there, and you still gotta look at the fact that the vicarious liability. I've been there, I know. I was a police supervisor for 6 years. So I knew I was responsible for those 13 guys that I put on the street. And I was accountable for them and everything they did. This goes for the same situation here. As they say, crap rolls downhill and gains momentum. The mayor is the chief leader of the city, correct? Who's responsible? You guys should realize that from what I see, this plan was going on well before July 22nd when all of council got the email. And nowhere in that email did it say, put your political ad in here. It said, we have space for an ad. Yeah, it doesn't dictate, it doesn't say what kind of ad. So yeah. But the people responsible here, you have it, several people that should have said, Ms. Miller, is this allowed? Is this not allowed? I mean, when you have a parks director who asked via an email, let's see where it's at here. Ask about the size of the ad, and then and the conversation took place with a worker. And basically this departmental head says, well, if that's the size ad, then okay, just charge them for it. And as far as I'm concerned, every candidate that wants to put an ad in can just pay for the whole program guide. LOL. So my look at this, it's a violation of state law. Yeah, I said theft because it could fall that way. Can I judge that? Can I say yes or no? That's not my job. That's what a prosecutor is for. But this investigation has cost us money. It has cost our taxpayers money. How much? We don't know yet. But it's cost us money, and it's out of the taxpayer's pocket. Not out of yours, not out of yours, not out of yours. It's out of the taxpayer. That's all I have right now.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Is there anybody else on council that would like to have, Mr. Griffin?
Yes, I got one for you, Mr. Harris.
Yes,
What
sir.
am I charged?
Violation of 9.03.
Does not apply in this situation.
Sure does.
Barberton is the charter city.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't apply. Only thing I was guilty of is the email. And I'm gonna ask you another question. You can say yes or you can say no, because I know the answer. In your whole time as a police officer, you never broke any kind of rules with the prisoner or person you arrested.
Did I what?
Ever break any kind of rules with a person or prisoner that you had in custody?
Break any rules?
Yes. Have you ever violated a prisoner or a person?
I've never violated a prisoner.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Yeah.
Mr. Hiddick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Harris, I do agree with some of the things you say. However, the 903 section is pointing, I appreciate you bringing that up because 903C prohibits using public funds for the information candidates and whatnot. 903D prohibits knowingly conducting a direct or indirect transaction of public funds to the benefit of. And I'm glad you brought that up because did the candidate in question here commit any transaction of public funds? No, because he didn't have access to public funds. Did he use public funds? Once again, he doesn't have access. But you did drive my point home that 3 of the people named in that fact finding are not guilty of this. My point that the Parks Department, you are correct. The Parks Department falls guilty of these things, in my opinion. But none of the 3 that were named in the fact-finding report have direct access to this, orders it, or committed the transaction by definition of the word transaction. So you are correct. This does apply, but it does not apply to 3 of those 4 named. And I do agree with you that that needs to be looked into. But by definition of 903C and D, 3 of those people are incapable of committing it just because of their position. They don't have access to be able to do those things. They don't have the authority to do those things. The department does and did. So you are correct. But it shouldn't be with those 3. It should be with the department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hiddick. Is there anything? Mrs. Beck?
In the report, when it comes to Mr. Griffin, it does say that this would arguably apply to violations of 9.03. So arguably means you could argue the fact that it doesn't in one part of the report, and at the bottom it says, oh yes, he did. So to me, arguably means it's kind of a bit shaky whether or not he did, even by the person making the investigation. So number one, but also punishment, you are right, 180 days in jail, $1,000 fine, probation, community service, counseling, house arrest, or revoke your driver's license. So I think that we all need to kind of put into perspective the intent behind all of this by each person. And I think we all know that it was not malicious by anyone. So, these, doing the 180 days, all that kind of thing, probation, it's a little bit harsh. Counseling, they kind of, when I was looking into this, could be classes. So I think it's very clear, abundantly clear, that people from parks into the mayor's office, into many other departments in this city, we need more education. We need more support for things like this. You know, clearly, Mr. Griffin has run a successful campaign in the past without violations. So is the mayor. So is Vanessa, sorry. So is Vanessa for several other people without having violations. So I think we have to kind of like put that also into perspective, that there was clearly a gray area somewhere here that totally missed. You know, and really, so did all of we. I remember getting that email and kind of thinking, that's kind of strange. You know, I wish that I would have put more things together and said, hey, I don't feel like this should be a thing. And I do have guilt. I saw, you know, that this was a thing, you know, like, oh man, I wish I would have said something. I could have maybe saved Mr. Griffin this whole thing. I could have saved people this whole thing if I would have just kind of thought for a few more moments. But also, I wanted to also, there was everybody that came up here said something about all of us getting that. And I want to be clear, we didn't know that Mr. Griffin had taken that opportunity. We just saw the email come through. So it's not that we, you know, knew, oh, haha, you know, he's going to get in trouble now. We didn't know he took that opportunity. So just wanted to make that clear. But, you know, I feel like we can sit here all night long and say, you are not at fault, who's at fault, they should have known, and, you know, wag our fingers at people. I want to know what's moving forward. How are we going to make sure this didn't happen again? And the answer to that is going to have to be, we have to support each other. We have to make sure we know what the heck we're doing. You know, this, like I said, was across different departments. There are mistakes here, and we need to make sure this doesn't happen again, and no one's talking about that right now. Yeah, I do want to know what is the next step. You know, it says misdemeanor. Okay, what now? I would like to know that too. Other people in the community have been asking me that. I kind of feel silly when I say, I don't know. I was waiting for tonight to find out. So I see you're standing up. I feel like
To be clear, there are not many people who didn't know that rule. Many people did know the rule. I want that to be certain so that the community feels very comforted that many people knew exactly what to do. There were a few people that didn't, and they didn't ask anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you should, everyone here should be very comfortable that people knew what to do. They didn't ask. Number one. Number two, ads like that or requests for solicitation go out all the time. So for example, the schools solicit all the time, especially elected officials. Would you like to be in a sports program? Would you like to be in the theater program? They do it all the time. I've definitely done it. But you wanna know what my ad says? Go Magics. Break a leg. But they would never accept a political ad from me. I know that. They would reject it. And had Jeremy or I received the ad, we would have rejected it as well. But no one sent that to us. The minute that Jeremy and I saw the ad, we acted. But we didn't see it till that day, when everybody else in the city saw the ad.
Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you. A few things. I just want to say I've known Mr. Griffin for a handful of years, and I've had the privilege of sitting here next to him for the past 4. He's served our community in many different capacities, as well as served our country, and I have a lot of respect for him. I truly don't believe that he knew placing the ad in the city-funded program guide was not allowed. However, as Mr. Harris stated, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. As Mr. Harris also stated, we all go through ethics training, and yes, I have stated a few times that it did not even cross my mind as a candidate here next week to place a political ad in this program, maybe because I went through that training more recently than Mr. Griffin. But, and I'm not saying that I don't make mistakes, we're all human. But I think what upsets me the most, other than the fact that we have use taxpayer dollars for this, and, it's not just about, you know, the program would have gone out anyways. The ad was $275. If you do the math, you know, we won't even include postage because it would have gone out anyways. A half sheet, full color photo on over 11,000 prints. I bet that's not cheap to do. So it's not just about that. Again, you know, I fully can understand that this was an honest mistake. But I'm upset with the fact that there's been zero accountability from any of the people who have been found responsible for this, outside of maybe Ms. Lysenko, who resigned with no comment. And, you know, I have spoken to the mayor's assistant, and from my understanding, she did come forward immediately once she realized that this was a problem. But I think a bigger picture question here is exactly how much time has the mayor's assistant spent on running a campaign, whether it be for Mr. Griffin, Mayor Judge, on the clock, on taxpayer dollars. If she's being encouraged to help out a friend with his campaign, it just, it's a huge concern. So, that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Easterling?
I just got one thing, from the time that Ms. Johnson spoke up to the time we hired attorneys, we even had executive sessions where people sat and played dumb to what was going on, like they knew nothing about it, and they sat through those discussions and gave no information. That bothers me more than anything else. I can excuse all the other, but the money didn't have to be spent when they spoke up at that executive session. Could have been handled in-house, and that's what bothers me. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Easterling. All right, is there anything else?
Mine are more questions. Are we going to questions?
I was gonna switch gears here.
Okay.
And my questions are probably in line, but yeah. So the one thing, as president, and I didn't want this to be, this is not supposed to be a interrogation or anything, right? We need to come to the bottom. There is legally something that was broken. Laws were broken. We can say they're not, but they were, right, on some level. And as council president, I want to try to figure out how it happened. We kind of know how it happened now. What has been done since then to fix that moving forward from happening again, either in the short term or the long term, is my question. And I know of some things that have taken place, but if we can just address it as a whole now that we're talking about it, what have we done, or the city, what have we done and put in place to ensure that this does not happen again, and Mrs. Miller, I'm sorry.
Yes, Jeremy and I, along with Ms. Eisman, have enacted a policy to talk about citywide communications and to the external. I believe, Jeremy, can you tell me who helped us with that? I can't get the name right. I always get that messed up.
It's a CPA firm from Columbus called Julian Group. They helped develop the policy. So I myself have Julian Group as a consultant to the city for purposes of anything that would come up. They first started when we had the ARPA funds. They helped me guide through that, make sure we were spending the money properly. Continued the consulting services even after this money has been spent, and they helped with this process. Speaking on behalf of Mrs. Miller, when we found out about this, that was one of my first contacts, was into them. Their auditors, they do city audits, county audits, school audits all the time. See if they've seen anything like this. They were the ones that turned it over to the Auditor of State's office. But in that process, they did mention about us developing a communication policy to address this in the future, because it's one of the things that we didn't have, that the city didn't have, was a communication policy dealing with a citywide communication. So they helped assist us in developing this policy. They were the ones that put it together. They've assisted several other communities putting together these policies. So with their help, we developed one that clearly dictates now that no political ads can go in any communication, citywide communication, using city funds. It also states in that communication policy that the department head that approves the ad will be responsible for it moving forward. These are things that needs to be addressed in our policy that we didn't have a policy for. So that is one of the biggest things that we have done currently on avoiding this from happening again, to make sure things get done correctly from here on out.
Mr. Mayor, did you want to say something?
No, I mean, the directives were put together by Ms. Eisman, Mrs. Miller, and Mr. Flaker. There was a meeting held, I was late to that meeting, but the Parks Director and 2 Parks Commission members were there. Those directives were handed out, and they still stay in place today.
Thank you. This one's for Mr. Flaker. When the state audits at the end of the year, will this be a ding on that audit?
So that was one of the things that was discussed. As I stated, when I reached out, I initially reached out to the Auditor of State's office. As soon as I found out about this, I was actually out on leave at the time. When I found out, I put an email in immediately to the Auditor of State's office regarding this. So they said, hey, send us over the flyer, let us look at it. So I sent it over to them. In the meantime, let's get the timeline all straight. So I put that email into them. I don't hear anything from the Auditor of State's office for probably like 2 weeks. So after like a week has gone by, that's when I contacted Julian and Group, the city's consultants, regarding this. They said they could do the investigation, however, they had to reach out to the East region that we're in. So they reached out to them. They finally got back with me, miraculously. The consultants reach out to the Auditor of States and they can get back with me immediately. They reach out, want a copy of the program guide, provided the program guide to them. They forwarded it on to Columbus for Columbus to review it. We got word back, was it early October? Late September, early October sometime. The consultants reached back out to me yet again on this. Basically, the Auditor of State's office replied back to Julian and Group stating that they were not sending a cease and desist letter on behalf of this investigation. And that, for the lack of better terms, they're wiping their hands clean of it, that they're not pursuing it any further. So, could it come up in an audit? It could. If Julian and Group, because they are getting our audit for next year, we were bidded out by the state. The state bid our audit out to independent firms. Auditor of State's office graded the proposals. The Auditor of State's office had Julian and Group ranked the highest out of all the audit firms that bid on our audit. So I can't speak on behalf of what they're going to pull. I can't speak on behalf of the Auditor of State's office. The Auditor of State's office, like I said, for the lack of a better term, kind of just wipe their hands of this. So might be up to the auditor of state's office to go and, point out to the audit firm, because they can, on these independent audit firms, they can instruct them to look at something. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could look at it. Now, could there be a ding? Could be up to the auditor. Whoever's doing, like, who from that firm's doing the audit on what they're looking at. They could be looking at it from, was there a misuse of public funds? One thing they're gonna rely on is the documentation of the investigation and the resolution to it. So they're gonna be looking at that. That's gonna probably be their guidance. So at that point in time, there really won't, to me, I don't feel there will be a ding, but I can't guarantee it at this time.
All right, well, thank you, Director. Thank you, Director Miller. That's all I had. Ms. Gerhardt, did you have questions?
I do have some, thank
Okay.
you. These first ones are for the mayor. Our residents are understandably frustrated, not only about what happened, but about the $15,000 cost of the investigation, or whatever it comes out to be. What would you say to them tonight to reassure them that accountability and transparency matter to this administration?
I appreciate the concern that has gone into this and all the questions that have come up from city council and from the public. Transparency and accountability is at the forefront. We are taking steps, the directives are in place. I've met with my staff and, you know, we are doing everything we can. Everyone has cooperated with the investigation. We're taking steps to make sure that this doesn't happen internally, and, you know, having this point come across in staff meetings and making sure that any questions that come up with any type of subjects, and it's just not, you know, in passing, hey, this is a question I have, that it's addressed in staff meeting where you have the HR director, you have the finance director, you have others in there that can answer the questions. Instead of having a question off the cuff in passing, that those are done, so all questions are out on the table and that answers are provided.
I know you mentioned you guys have just recently talked about it, but how will you ensure that all departments are trained in following it?
So I believe all departments have the communication policy already. We're gonna send that out. We have a staff meeting tomorrow that's gonna be provided again, and we're gonna talk about it at a staff meeting. And this is gonna be something that we've discussed. It's just not gonna be a one and done. It's something that we're gonna keep alive and make sure that everyone's familiar with it and following it.
Can you have somebody responsible for monitoring this compliance and reporting back to council?
Sure. What would you like? When we talk about it?
Just with the steps that you guys are taking to be sure that it's followed. So the report concluded that Ms. Johnson knowingly used city time and resources in connection with the political campaign. So I don't know if this is for Ms. Eisman or the mayor. What disciplinary or corrective action was taken as a result of these findings?
I'm not at liberty to do anything.
Am I allowed to ask why you're not at liberty to do anything? Because she's an employee, correct?
Appointed, correct. I mean, Vanessa's appointed, and Mayor and Mr. Griffin are elected officials. And Kara has resigned.
When Mr. Retberg, when an employee came and told you that Mr. Retberg had asked them to lie, he was also appointed. And we were able to suggest disciplinary for him, weren't we?
I'm gonna have to defer to Mrs. Muller for that. So in terms of, Mr. Patterson and let's say Kara was in a bargaining unit, so appropriate steps would have had to been taken to, oh my gosh, Kendall, forgive me, mete out any discipline to a bargaining unit member. I cannot speak properly right now. But, Kara resigned, so there's not really an issue there. In terms of Don, the Parks Commission would have to decide what sort of discipline they would, impose on, the Director of Parks and Rec. In terms of Vanessa, the only person who can issue discipline to Vanessa is the mayor, and, Councilman Griffin and the mayor are elected officials, and there is no method to discipline elected officials.
Yeah, and the only, because with, Kara having already left, there's only one employee being cited really in this, correct, for guilt. And Mr. Patterson wasn't.
Well, again, Kara could have been, but appropriate, process would have been, have to have been followed. Again, the Parks Commission could, choose to discipline, the executive, or the director, and, the administrative coordinator and mayor could be disciplined, but again, elected officials are not
Right.
subject to
Yeah.
progressive discipline, so to speak.
No, I understand that. That's why it was specifically with Ms. Johnson, if there was gonna be anything, since she was found with.
Yeah, that would be up to her appointing authority.
the mayor.
And so we don't discuss disciplinary action, while it's going on publicly. So I have not had the opportunity yet to get with the HR director.
Okay. What safeguards are now in place to prevent any city employee, particularly those in administrative positions, from engaging in campaign work that could create a conflict of interest or the appearance of one?
I'm not sure if that was part of the directives that council also got a copy of, I can't recall off the top of my head. But at no time should people be doing things during work hours that aren't related to their job.
Councilor Garrett? I have that in front of me, that's actually bullet, or number 3. The city has enacted a written policy to prohibit such activity in the future, in the advisory report.
Can you read the, before that then, like what part you're talking about?
It's the email we had about the investigation, the, advice to move on.
I'm thinking something.
I know what, I understand what you're pointing at, but I'm telling her, she has access to that.
It's a policy in the handbook that is not allowed.
That you're not allowed to do like things that you
Outside
shouldn't
of
be
work,
doing outside.
correct.
Right. I just feel like a lot of the conflict is having an administrative person working on political campaigns. So how are we preventing that? Cause that added to a lot of this.
I mean, it's a person that has to follow policy in a handbook, just like the rest of our employees do.
Okay, so that was already in the handbook. So that was also then broken. It's in the handbook already? I guess we can't talk about that yet. Okay, I'll let somebody else ask some questions. President Greer?
All right, thank you, Ms. Gerhart. Is there anybody else that would like to say anything, ask any questions? If not, I'm gonna open it up for the floor. Anybody on the floor would like to make a statement? Mr. Foreman?
Just from here?
Sure.
Okay. I just wanted to say in general, my experience dealing with auditors, federal and state, right or wrong, as long they like it that we catch the situation now. Flecker notified them. We're putting in place policies. You're asking the right questions, what the auditors would, Councilperson Gerhart. They like that, so when they come to do the audit, you know, and say, what happened? Oh, we put this in place. We're trying to rectify this from ever happening again. So, just in general, just for your information, auditors do look kindly saying we are trying to fix any future problems.
Yes.
I just want to reiterate what Mrs. Beck said. She's dead on with everything that she said. I work with policies and bylaws all the time for the school board. And you have to, there are so many things going on that you have to remember so much that your head would explode. So you have to refresh yourself, you have to put things in place. So all of this that has happened is actually good because it's made the city aware that there are some downfalls that you have to fix. And you can't, you can't just, I understand you can't just sweep it under the rug, but you also have to look at the full picture. And I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Harris, but, I'm looking at the individuals too. And personally, I think this could have all been done in executive session. I don't think that you needed the outside investigation, so you could have saved the taxpayers a lot of money by doing that. I think that it was jumped on a little bit too soon doing that, where you could have had a discussion in council with legal and go from there. I just, I understand but you have to have refresher courses all the time as to what's going on. And, I will get an email, even though I'm retired, I still do that for the board. I will get an email and say, Mary Lou, what does this say? And there are so many state laws and House bills and everything else going on right now that sometimes it's hard to keep up. So, it's just, but Emily, what you said, I agree with completely.
Anybody else? Ms. Hager?
Mrs. Woodford, I appreciate your comment. As far as keeping it in an executive session, unfortunately, I think if we had done that, and this would have gotten out to the public anyways, we would have been raked over the coals. What are you hiding? What are you, keeping from us? Oh, we would have been trampled on from now until the end of time. I do appreciate the way you're looking at it. But yeah, I think if we had tried to keep this in executive session, we would have been raked over the coals. Because we would have.
Well, you could have had a special meeting. Public special meeting.
Yeah.
They have those too, so you could,
Well, I think in this instance, we wanted to keep it open to the public, so you guys knew everything, the public knew everything that was going on. You guys can voice your concerns, and in that way, there's nothing hidden, everybody knows everything, we can move on from this, we can take your suggestions, and you're all a part of this, and we can figure out ways to fix this and make sure it doesn't happen again. And I do appreciate your suggestion about refresher courses. My husband does sharps containers at hospitals, and he does refresher courses constantly. So I know more about bloodborne pathogens than I ever want to know in my entire life, so thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hager. Mr. Heidick?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Woodford, I do agree with Councilor Hager here. The one aspect of this is I believe our Law Director Miller is correct. It does look very improper if the city investigates itself. I point to another example, the Powell building that burned down. The fire department, that building was city owned. The fire department referred it to the county and state fire investigators because our own department investigating our own fire in a building just gives off the vibes of improperness. And it's lack of a better word, it sucks that we had to use outside counsel, but I do believe that's the right way to go about this instead of investigating ourselves.
Okay.
That just gives the air of
Okay.
somebody had an influence somewhere in the decision. So I do back that decision.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
All right, final round. Is there anybody on council? Public? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to say something. I agree a lot with Ms. Woodbury about the policy and corporate Americans. I understand there's a lot of information that you have to keep track of, and none of us are. We're all human. And yes, Story Griffin is my father, and yes, I am here to stand in solidarity with him. But the one thing that I can honestly say about my father, and as a council, because he's still councilman on my ward where I live, is that one of the things that my brothers and I, as we grew up, my father played no favorites. My father, and give me a moment to get my words together, he is not a person that, when I say favorites, it's not, I'm getting my words, just give me a moment, I know what I'm trying to say, I had it just a minute ago. I guess that would be the best way I could say it. He's very careful, he's a very thoughtful man, very caring man, but he's a stern man too. And if I stand because I have to, this is in my heart to do, not just because of emotional reason, because it's my dad, but because I know that it was an honest mistake. And, you know, I pay attention to a lot of the cases and things, and, you know, when you bring somebody on trial, one of the things that was mentioned was intent, Ms. Beck, I remember you said that, intent. And when you get in a court of law, the judge usually goes by and says, well, was it your intent to do this? And they get all the evidence, and I can honestly say that it was not my father's intent. He did not know. And whether it goes, but I have to stand, I'm speaking on behalf of my mother and my family, because she could not be here, and my son, but we know the kind of man that he is. And Mr. Hitech, I agree with many of your points, Ms. Beck, thank you, Ms. Woodford, thank you, and for all that came to support him, I thank you. And the one thing I noticed in his fundraising campaign, he said togetherness. This really isn't a Republican or a Democratic thing. This is about people. What are we going to do to ensure the goodwill of all people?
Thank you. Anybody else?
I
Sir?
just got a quick question.
Shoot.
Is this maybe gonna be referred to the county prosecutor to have them review it? And then it can hash out however it hashes out. I know there's no intent. But
Correct.
somebody legally needs to look at this, and the judge has to sit there and go, there was no intent, let's let it go.
Sure.
I understand. That's
Mrs.
up to you guys to figure out.
Mrs. Miller, as far as the legal side of this and dealing with the state, where are we at with that? Is there any other further thing, steps
Again,
that need to be taken?
I have
Anybody?
a conflict. This is the whole point of this whole thing. I can't refer it to a prosecutor. I represent the entire city council. I
Sure.
represent Mr. Griffin. I represent the mayor. I represent the Parks Commission. I represent Kendall. I represent everyone involved, which is why I couldn't do the investigation in the beginning. I
Okay.
represent everybody. That's what our charter requires. And I have a conflict as an attorney. That's a thing. And so because of that, I can't investigate. I can't have it go to our police department to investigate. I have a conflict there. I can't advise them. So, I can't do that. And so that is not anything I will personally be pursuing because I'm prohibited from doing that.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. That is a question. What now?
Well, I believe the one thing that I can say is that in terms of personnel and HR issues, those things can be handled and that can happen. But I don't have any, if they were my employees, I could handle that. I don't have any control over the employees that this involves.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Miller. Seeing we're wrapping this up, we'll just go ahead and end this work session now. And we'll move on with business today. So the next thing in order is communication from the body. outside of the work session, is there anything that anybody would like to say? Anything from department heads? I do have one thing. I just want to thank any council member or anybody in the city that has provided information on the issues that have been on the ballot. I've referred a lot of people to your guys' videos and social media, and had a lot of people thank me. So I don't know if I told them to get a hold of you guys to thank you guys. I don't know if they have or not, but I'll just say that that's been my go-to to pointing people, and it's been helpful. I've had a lot of feedback from that stuff. Anything from department heads? No? Communication from the mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. As most of you know, Worcester Road West is now open, traffic flowing in both directions. It's not complete yet. There's still some work that is being done just west of Hudson Run. They were doing some work earlier today. But so there still may be some cones and barrels up as they finish up some of the restoration and some of the work they have to do. But it still is flowing in both directions. When you drive that, remember you're driving on approximately $11 million. We were fortunate enough to be awarded about $9 million in grants, really leveraging the tax dollars for for these big projects. Again, that was a total reconstruction of the road, about a mile in length. The last section was just resurfaced. You've got a new water line in most of that area, storm sewers, curbs, sidewalks, a lot of upgrades throughout that area. As we've mentioned in the past, Summit County used a lot of their ARPA dollars to connect all 31 communities throughout the county for safety services with fiber. That fiber ring, they started up in the northern part of the county. They will be in Barberton later this month, so this week or next week. It is not for businesses or residents to tap into. It's to link the safety services in each community together so there's a faster response. So they will be coming in from, I thought they would be coming in from kind of the northwest. They'll be coming in from the southeast, from the New Franklin area and into town. They should only be here a month or two, so we're gonna move very quickly. Yard restoration should be done within 7 days. So they're gonna be very efficient, and we have information out. You can contact the county with any questions, and I'll get that out to city council as well. We have weekly meetings with the county and with the contractor and with the inspectors as well. So that's coming through very soon. And then just with the closure of the federal government and the loss of SNAP benefits, we're working to start a collection of non-perishables earlier than December. You know, we always do it December and January. We're starting ASAP so we can start collecting, because there's going to be a lot of people in our community who are really hurting because of the loss of the SNAP benefits. So more information will be coming out soon from that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, Mr. Heidick.
Mr. Mayor, the fiber ring, you said that it's gonna be coming from the south there and the yard restorations. Do you have a map of where they're going? Just so a resident says, hey, this isn't Omni Fiber, what's going on?
Yeah, so I believe there's some information already put out on social media. If not, I'll make sure that you guys get a copy of the map. I know that we were asked them to kind of readjust that a little bit. It was coming in on, from memory, don't quote me on this, but coming in on 5th Street Southeast from New Franklin, Manchester Road area, to Robinson, making a left down Robinson. Nope, excuse me, making a left on Ford. You kind of question why they wouldn't go down Robinson. You know, they have to, just like every other contractor, they replace concrete or anything that they damage. They didn't want to interfere with the schools. They felt it was better to go down Ford. Obviously, there's a lot more residents down Ford, a lot more sidewalk, a lot of drive aprons. So I threw the idea out there of going down Robinson, so that may change. But right now, going down Ford, westbound, shooting, per se, over the bridge, but it'll be tucked in underneath the bridge, so they don't have to worry about the canal or the railroad. Coming down what is Robinson to Worcester Road West, taking a right at 2nd Street by 480 West Tusk, taking that to West Park and taking a left. You got the green diamond over here, making a left down West Park, coming from the city building here, and then we'll attach to this building. So obviously IT is involved. So it can only go to one building. even though we're gonna have the safety director in a different building and police and law here, it's only gonna be one attachment at this point. So it'll come down here. They were originally gonna make a right down 8th Street. Again, I told them that doesn't make much sense. Take it down 6th Street, a lot less to deal with when you've got Lake Anna on the east side for the most of the block. Making a left on West Hopkinton, taking that westbound to Hillsdale, and then to Shannon, Shannon to 31st Street, take a right to Cleveland Massillon in the north.
Beautiful.
So they may make those 2 changes from 4 to Robinson and from 8 to 6.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you again, Mr. Haddock. Mrs. Thompson?
Sorry, just a quick one, Mayor, is Worcester Road West between Cleveland Maslin and, like Crayons, is that still on the books for resurfacing?
Yeah, not this year. I'm running out of time.
No.
Yeah, it's that one section. We've got Worcester Road West from corporate limits all the way to that area, and from that area all the way to the bridge here. Yeah, it's that small section. We were hoping to get that done this year. Ran out of time, but it will be on the list for next year.
Alright. I'm gonna hold you to that.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor. This is typically where we go to adjourn, but the next thing on the agenda is we do have an executive session. We do have, is he, okay, how about we just take like a 5-minute break, is that all right?
Please.
All right, well, I need a motion to take a break because we're in
Oh.
legislative.
Yeah.
Motion.
Mr. Hyde?
I'll second.
All right, motion is made by Mr. Hayek and seconded by Mrs. Thompson. We take a break, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I never said.
Everyone's got their favorite kid, I don't care what it
Okay, I
is.
was like, we have to be live for a little bit.
We're live.
All right, we're gonna move over into the executive session. A request is made by myself, President of City Council, to enter into an executive session to consider matters to be kept confidential regarding economic development. Having said that, is there a motion to go into an executive session? Mr. Heidick?
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to enter executive session.
All right, is there a second? Mrs. Thompson?
Thank you. I will second Mr. Heidick's motion.
It was, motion was made by Mr. Heidick and second by Mrs. Thompson, to enter into an executive session to consider matters to be kept confidential regarding economic developments. Clerk, please call the roll.
Here we are. President Greer.
Yes.
Mr. Heidick.
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Mr. Easterling.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mrs. Beck.
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
All right, we are now in executive session at 8:41 p.m.